Here we're going to look at how to factor a polynomial with 4 terms. Let's look at our helpful hint. Check to see if the first 2 terms have a common factor. If they do not, rearrange the order of the terms of the polynomial. Group the terms so that the first 2 terms have a common factor and the last 2 terms have a common factor. Here we have a polynomial with 4 terms that we want to factor. Now when we have a polynomial with 4 terms, we want to try factoring by grouping, which means looking for a common factor in the first 2 terms and looking for a common factor in the second 2 terms. Notice the way it's written, we don't have a common factor in the first 2 terms. The helpful hint says, go ahead and rearrange the terms in order to have that common factor. Notice if I just switch the middle 2 terms, I would have the 3x and the 6y together, and they do have a common factor. So I'm just going to switch these middle 2 terms. And then we can try factoring by grouping. The common factor in the first 2 terms is 3. So factoring a 3 from those first 2 terms gives us x plus 2y in parentheses. Now when I go to factor the second 2 terms, I'm trying to get the same binomial as I have here. Since both terms are negative, in order to have both terms be positive inside parentheses, I'm going to want to factor out a negative. And let's look for that common negative factor here. If we look at the number parts, we see the common factor is 5. And if we look at the variable parts, we see the common factor is a. So I want to take out a 5a, but I want it to be a negative 5a. Taking out a negative 5a would leave me 2y and plus x. Notice the 2 expressions in parentheses. Even though the terms are switched here compared to this, they are the same. 2y and an x are being added. Doesn't matter which order we write those in. So we do have the same thing in parentheses here. So now I'm going to factor out that common binomial, 2x plus 2y, and in the second set of parentheses, I'll have 3 minus 5a. So remember the helpful hint when factoring a polynomial with 4 terms. Look for a common factor in the first 2 terms and a common factor in the second 2 terms. And if you need to rearrange the terms for that to happen, then go ahead and do so as your first step.